In the third part of our Adobe XD wireframe tutorial for our World Religions project, I'm going to come back to this religion detail page, and we're going to clean up some of the content areas that we were forced to change with adding our header and footer section in there. And then I also want to add some character styles, so that way when we create our additional religion detail pages, it'll be easier to change and manage some of those things on our page. So I'm going to zoom in and use my spacebar to kind of scroll down into this area so we have a nice large space to look at. So previously we just had this really large square, or we have this square right here for our images. And what I want to do is I want to change this to multiple images as kind of like a grid layout for some pictures. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And then I also want to add a title in here. And you remember in our first tutorial that we didn't leave room for a header in the top of the page, and so our title got cut off in our last tutorial. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and move, using my arrow key, and move some of this stuff down. And I can do this a lot quicker if I use just the mouse here. And I'll come in and fix this in just a minute, but what I want to be able to do is leave a space in here for a title. So to save time, I'm just going to go ahead and use my Alt key and duplicate this title right here. So I'm just going to hit the Alt key and click and move this up. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and put in a, so I'm going to say title for religion. And I want to make sure that I leave myself enough room. I'm going to click my move tool. Leave myself enough room for a really long title. And I want to increase the font size anyway, so I'm going to change that from 36 in the Helvetica New. I'm going to change that to 48. And I think I might even go bigger than that. Let's go ahead and go, I think I had it at 72 before. So that's pretty large. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to position this, I'm going to center it within our page, and then I'm going to center it within that text box. I'm going to make sure that there's enough room in that text box for all of that. So before I go further, I want to make this as I want to change this character, make this as a character style. So what I'm going to do is I'm just over here in my assets panel, above the symbol section, I'm going to hit the little plus button, and I'm going to place my cursor in there, and I'm going to rename this. So this is going to be title 1, or let's go titles. Let's just do main title, or let's say go religion's title. Call that. Okay. So now what I'd like to do is I'm going to change this up a little bit. So I tend to like to do some fun things with text. So in this case, I would like to change this from bold to light, and then I also want to make sure that this is all uppercased. And I don't know if there's a way to do that quickly in XD, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it the old-fashioned way and do caps locks and then title of religion. I bet you there is a way, I just don't know how. Let's see. Let's right click. See if we can. Nope. Control Z. That's not what I want to do. Get off of that. There we go. Right click. And let's see here. Not a character option. So I know obviously in coding you can do this, but doesn't appear to allow me to do that in XD. So we're going to go ahead and just go with that for now. And I'm going to go ahead and change the color as well. I'm going to change the fill here to something a little bit lighter, or I think I'm going to go with a little bit lighter there. Just going to go with something of that region. Okay. And so what this will allow me to do, hang on, Control Z that's what happened. So I need to save this as, make this a character style, and that needs to be religion's title. Okay, and then I'm going to get rid of that one. So that'll allow me to just drop that into the rest of my pages pretty easily if I want to use it later on. And it also sets me up as like setting up my style sheet for the rest of my text. So I want to do that for the rest of these as well. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and click this one and add this as a character style. So this one's going to be like a subheading. So we'll call this, we'll just call this a heading 2. And then we're going to call this one our main paragraph. So if I want to use these at some other point, I can, and I can just drop them in pretty easily. Okay. So from there, I want to add in some boxes, and I need to space these out better, but I want to add in my image boxes first. I'm going to kind of base my image boxes from there. So I want these to be square. I'm going to see how many I can fit in. So there's going to be a little bit of experimentation here with how this is going to work. Let's go with 250 and 250. And take my move tool. Let's go ahead and place these underneath, kind of like right about there. Kind of want to space it just underneath and a little bit away from the title there. And then I'm going to use my repeat grid option here, and we're going to bring this out, and then we're going to bring this down. So I'd like 6 of these. See if I can fit 6 of those in there. Really tight, not ideal for that size. So, oops, didn't want to move that. There we go. Let's double click this in here. Let's see if we can't just reduce this just a little bit so we can get all 6 of those images in there. So in the height wise, let's do 220. See what that gets us. And then I can change in my box here, I can change the spacing. Change the spacing there to about 25 pixels in between. And I think that could make that work. If we want to keep these square though, let's see. We're going to have to change that to 220 as well. And then let's bring the spacing back to 25 pixels there as well. So we kind of have our grid layout. Bring this over. And now we can kind of position this in a little bit. Oops, Control Z. Position this a little bit more centered on our page. Maybe kind of on the edge there where our social media icons are going to be. Probably be a good spot. So now it'll also allow me to bring our whole. I'll go ahead and shift click all of these paragraph texts, and I can bring these over a little bit closer. Let's go ahead and space these out about 40 pixels away from the images. So nice and spaced out there. And then let's go ahead and make sure all of our other spacing of our text is good. So I want to move our text kind of like right about like that. There we go. And I think I'm going to leave the paragraphs about that location. I think we can probably, that'll probably work out for us in the end there. So now if I zoom out, and let's go ahead and save where we're at. Now the question is, I'm gonna try something here real quick, and I'm not sure if it's gonna work or not. But what I want to do is I don't want to, if we need to change something later on about this whole page, I'm worried that we'll have to fix that for every single page again and mess around with it. So actually, let's do this. I'm gonna come back here. We could make this a grid layout as well. We could repeat that grid down. which might be kind of smart if we want to. I think we'll be okay. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna take that back. Okay, so what I want to do is I just want to see if this is going to work. I'm going to highlight this whole page, and then I want to make this a symbol. And what I'd like to do is just call this religion detail page. And I'm going to see if it will help us later on. I'm going to end up copying these over 7 times again, so we have our individual detail pages. But if for some reason I want to change something on one of this page, I don't want to have to do it 7 times again and then recopy, repaste, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to see if by making this a symbol, will it help us in the end by being able to change those things later on. So I'm just doing that as kind of like a pre-thing to see if that'll help. So from here, we need to make those copies again of all 8 of those pages. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit the Alt key and drag those over. And I'm just going to go ahead and space these out kind of evenly across my page here. Uh-oh. Didn't copy. Alt. There we go. Move that in there. Why is that not working? There we go. There, it's stuck. So here where we have the religion detail pages, we could rename these to the actual religions that those are going to be. But I'm not going to do that now. And, oops. Okay. There we go. It's because I wasn't grabbing it at the right spot. Okay. And then Alt again. Okay, so I've got 4. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out a little bit so we can see. Hit my space bar. So we've got the 4 there, and I'm just going to come down and I'm going to highlight all 4 of these. And then Alt click and then drag those down. So we have all 8 of our detail pages. I'm going to go ahead and actually grab these as well. And I want to move this down just a little bit on our artboard. Actually, I want to grab this whole section here. And I just want to move these down just a little bit on my artboard. Same thing with this guy right there. Okay, so now I've got my wireframe. We got a little better wireframe than we had in our first tutorial. We might still need to make some adjustments as we start to put in content. But now I've got some stuff set up to where I can change things and add things as we go. So before I go, I'd like to set up a color scheme of sorts for our pages. And one of the things that I think is really helpful is if we create kind of a color palette for us to choose from. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab my square, and I'm just going to draw little squares here, and I'm going to go ahead and make those squares an even size. And they're kind of huge, actually, on this page right now. But and then I'm just going to duplicate those a few times. Okay, and I might say I'm going to have 5. I don't know yet. But I know I want one with white. I know I want one with black. So I have that, just the standard white, black. Big fan of gray. So I'm going to come in and let's go ahead and make one that's gray. And you don't have to choose the colors that I'm choosing. You should absolutely choose at least white and black though. And I'm a big fan of blue. So I might come in and say I want to do a blue. Oops. I want to do the next one blue. So return there. Okay, I like grays and blues. Okay, so I'm going to come in. Let's check that blue out. Did that go? Oh, why is it not filling? There we go. Okay. Oh, that was the border. Darn it. The black border. It's on the wrong color thing. Okay, fill. Blue. I like that blue right there. Looks good to me. Okay, and then for my last color, let's see here. I got white, black, gray, blue, and I want to use that for some of my buttons, for the header and the footer. Let's go ahead and choose another color that complements the blue. Let's mix it up and do like something that's a little bit darker, like a dark blue. Okay, so that's my color palette that I'm going to work from. And in fact, what I could do also is put in the numbers below those. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and come in here and I'm going to add. So see there, I've got my colors sort of set up, and I want to do that there. That's black. That there. That's gray. There's my blue, and there's my dark blue. And this 7701, I don't know where that one came from, so I'm just go ahead and delete that. I might want a lighter gray at some point. Oops, Control Z. My dark blue went away. There we go. I might want a light gray to come in here. In fact, I think I used that light gray for my title over here. So if I zoom in and click on that, I want to see what color that is. That was an AAA color. So I want to make another box over here. Take my Alt key, drag that out, double click that color, fill, and I want A. There we go. And I probably would want to move that around to the gray area, maybe even bring it down here, kind of stash it by there. So I want that as one of my colors. Okay, and what I can do with this, oops, that one got in there somehow. What I can do with this is I can say this gray color is like a heading 1 color or something like that, or we could say these are title colors. You know, we could even name them specifically for how we want to use them. So for like, you know, FFF, that might be background, 000, that might be paragraph text, you know, that kind of thing. But I have these colors set here so that if I need to say if I want to come in here and change my button background in that fill, I can just come over here and then hit that gray button that I just chose. Okay, or I could hit the blue button, or you know, whatever I might like. Okay, so it just makes your design more consistent and easier to work with, and takes you less time to do those things because you already have those squared away. You have those set already. So that's like one of the powerful things about XD is you're creating a design system, so that way you have a plan to start putting in your stuff. You know, as soon as you design a wireframe, when you get your wireframe kind of where you want it to be, your mock-up, then you start plugging in images, you start plugging in the things that will build out your site or your app or your page, and it makes it so much easier and quicker to do that. And you actually create better designs that way as well, and you're more consistent across the board. So in our next tutorial, what we're going to focus on is plugging in some of the content that you guys researched for this project and some of the images that you guys found also.